On the global ecological dashboard, the year 2011 went into history as a turbulent year, with greenhouse gases rising to unprecedented high levels, occasioning unparalleled variables in temperature patterns for some countries like the United States of America, and incidents of drought and heat waves in Europe and Africa. In a manner of speaking, within an historical time span in recent memory, 2011 was the log year of weather-triggered natural disasters. Putting it into context, therefore, 2011 saw some of the world's worst record of crippling snowstorms, tornadoes, and epic floods include heat-induced drought. Within the hurricane belt of the world also, last year was considered the third busiest year. As it was abroad, so was it at home. In Nigeria, oil spills on the shore of Niger Delta swamps were seen as the worst in decades. What with the wanton destruction of fishing communities, the rash of flash floods, not to recall the pointed environmental disasters resulting from river flooding in places like Sokoto, Lagos, Ibadan, Kano, Jigawa, where no fewer than 300 lives were lost, coupled with the colossal loss in property. In the case of Kano, the problem of erosion, industrial effluent, improper refuse disposal, a lack of proper urban planning, combined in the distortion of the city landscape, even as it caused other climatic distortions. The challenges that besieged Kano in the wake of environmental crisis triggered massive human rights abuses against citizens, especially the most vulnerable section of the community, as a result of the spate of flooding and other environmental issues. This experience has saw the beginnings of slow but angry protests, as in the case of residents of Sabuwar Gandu, Sheka, Gidamaza, and neighboring communities, who challenged the reign of unregulated industries with respect to pollution. Evidence that citizen action pays is the gradual reduction of effluents and noxious odors, thanks to the collaborative intervention of the media and the community. While the problem persists, residents of Dakata in Nasarawa local government have also taken their case in protest to the government to come to their aid, especially with regard to the gaseous emission by some industries in the area. In the same sense, residents of Sona Kawaji also complained about erosion in their areas, which destroyed many houses. But is it proper for residential settlements to be overridden by industrial intrusions? An environmental geographer, Professor Adamu Tanku, speaks on the issue.
Cities of the world are supposed to be properly planned. That is what we call as the urban planning. In urban planning, residential areas are supposed to be planned differently from the industrial areas. In many of our African countries, you hardly could see proper planning. And that is how you see people who wouldn't want to shuttle between the industrial areas to the residential areas always want to come very close to the industries. So the case of city planning is to do with transportation, it's to do with the residences, it's to do with the different classes of residences. So if you fail in this, certainly you will get people to come very close to the industries because they want to beat traffic whenever they are on their way to work.
Is it really difficult from a policy perspective to tame the environmental challenges like deforestation and desert encroachment in Kano? To the extent that some parts of Kano State are threatened by desert encroachment. It is curious that government has so far failed to put any arrangement in place to encourage the retrieval of lost arable and grazing land through a vigorous tree planting or waste control program in the state. To be sure, Kano knows one or two things about the pains of waste control. Polythene bags, disposed water sachet, and sweet wraps are the major wastes defacing the beauty of Kano, and they are an eyesore to anyone who sets foot in the state. It is made worse with the presence of unclean drainages and narrowed culverts also functioning as contributing factors to flooding and erosion. Fagge residents also had their own share of flooding disaster caused by blocked drainages and indiscriminate dumping of refuse. This social and ecological policy failure have a vivid dimension. Malama Lamindi is a mother who lost her family in the flooding. She speaks on her experience.
An yi asara da yawa saboda wannan gida namu da yake gani dakunansa guda 8 ne, kusan guda 5 ne suka zube, sannan bayan haka kuma ga asarar rayuka da muka yi na yara guda 2 da suka rasu, sannan sha'anin wani wai ko kayayyakin mu na dukoyin ba abin da muka dauka daga ciki.
Farmlands in Kabo and Guzuguzu were not spared, as farmers had to clear the remains of their once cultivated lands after one of such downpour.
I lost many things for the river, and what I wanted to tell government that we go need help from government to come and suck the sand inside the river out so that the water will go down, so a farmers go get chance to work beautiful for the river.
Wala mun ce kama a cikin mawuyacin hali ko kuma kafin fara jama'a assalamu alaikum, ni Musa Alasan Kanyi. Bara mun ce kama a cikin mawuyacin hali domin ruwa ya zo cikin dare daya, mun yi noma wata da watanni amma ruwa zai share a rana daya, sai dai mun samu bakin gwargwado akan irin abin da aka samu.
The state government gives an insight into what it is doing concerning environmental issues around the state.
Government is going to spend substantial amount in the region of almost 500 million naira to control erosion this year alone. In the area of flood, based on our experience of what had happened last year in Fagge and some other locations, we had taken adequate measures along with the local government, Fagge local government area. And this has given us an opportunity to take active or to be proactive, like those areas or those locations where we know result in flood. We carried out what is called drainage clearance, and it was done in 3 levels. The primary level, it was taken care of by the local government areas with community participation, and the tertiary, it was taken care solely by the local government, and the secondary ones, that are the major ones, Jakara and Kwarongogo, the government had taken care. It was contracted out to people with expertise.
What could be the problems behind environmental issues in Kano State? Professor Adamu Tanko explains.
Of course, Kano, with a lot of people, a city that is housing over 4 million people, they expect a lot of waste generation, and we have many waste dumps in the city, and also our drainages are not good, properly taken care of. For that, the drainage is bad, the waste generation is bad, the pollution, industrial pollution is bad, as well as the dryness of the environment, which is making it so unkempt during all times. You don't see a lot of greenery in Kano, and also there is very high level of old vehicles on the road, many motorbikes, all of them emitting a lot of carbon. So all of these are developing to be big problems of environment in Kano State.
But what will be the stand of Kano State government towards environmental problems in the state, considering the huge piles of polythene, erosion, and desert encroachment in the state? Meanwhile, unless the government gives priority to environmental issues, particularly the enforcement of environmental policies, flooding and erosion in Nigeria will remain a threat to the common man, and huge piles of refuse will forever deface the beauty of the country, given rising adverse climatic conditions.